What's up everybody, Brian here at BPS Customs. On today's video we're going to do a little bit of speculation, but the speculation is going to be based on some facts that I've been able to collect myself through testing, as well as information provided by Nvidia at their 1080 Ti press conference last week. So without further ado, let's get into what we can expect from the 1080 Ti when it launches on March 10th. Now, I don't generally do speculation videos. In fact, I'm not sure that I've ever actually done one before. I'll have to take a look back to make sure. But the reason that I wanted to put this video out there is because the equation for 1080 Ti performance involves three variables. It involves 1080 performance, it involves Titan performance, and it involves the multiplier that Nvidia has said is on top of the 1080 performance to reach or exceed Titan performance. 35% they've said. So in May of 2016, Nvidia launched this card, the Pascal GTX 1080. The 1080 was the flagship card for Nvidia until the Titan X Pascal was released in, I believe, September of last year. It remains basically the best mainstream option that Nvidia offers, as the Titan X Pascal is out of the price range of most normal consumers. The performance of the 1080 is actually in a little bit of a weird spot when you think about it. For 1080p gaming and 1440p gaming, this card right here is extreme overkill. It'll push frame rates basically as high as you want them to go. But when we move on to 4K gaming, which right now admittedly is not a huge segment of the population, but will be soon, the 1080 is slightly underpowered while still being able to drive most games at acceptable frame rates. The issue is that you're not going to be able to hit 60 frames per second on ultra settings with most titles. It's just not a powerful enough card, despite the fact that it is still quite a beast. However, I've had this card in my system for a long time and have absolutely no problem playing games at 4K because I'm not one of the people that says I have to have 60 frames per second in every game. So playing at 55 frames per second or 50 frames per second in most titles is absolutely fine by me, and I don't really notice that much of a difference. However, there is a card out there that does meet those expectations of 4K gamers, and that's this, the Titan X Pascal. Now, I don't have the actual card on me. It's actually in my system back there right now. But what I wanted to do is, since Nvidia has publicly stated that the performance of the upcoming 1080 Ti will actually surpass that of the Titan X and is 35% faster than this card right here, I wanted to see what that actually means. Now, Nvidia didn't put out any specifics about these claims. They didn't show any graphs or comparisons directly between the 1080, the 1080 Ti, and the Titan X in any specific performance test. They very well could have cherry-picked some test that shows that it's 35% faster than a 1080, and they could have cherry-picked a different test that showed it's just as fast or faster than the Titan X. We don't know yet. However, they did make the blanket 35% faster than a 1080 claim. And now, while I have this card and the Titan X on hand, let's just see what 35% faster means for the 1080 and how it compares to Titan X's performance. All right, so we're going to start off with our synthetics. And we can see right here that obviously the Titan X is enjoying a nice chunky lead over the 1080. But what we're going to do is we're going to take the 1080 score, we're going to multiply it by 1.35 to simulate the 35% increase that the 1080 Ti is supposed to be enjoying, and see what a projected 1080 Ti score would be. So let's take a look. So this projection kind of falls right in line with where the previous generation Maxwell cards landed, where the 980 Ti was almost but not quite up to Titan X standards. This looks like a reasonable approximation of that data. We'll see if this holds for the rest of our tests. All right, so our next synthetic is Time Spy. Let's see what happens when we add in that 35% kicker. All right, well, this is certainly different and a little bit unexpected, but this is one of the reasons why I am a little bit skeptical of these numbers. If you add 35% to the performance of the 1080 in Time Spy, you get a crazy high number, and one that blows away the Titan X. It's safe to say that a blanket statement of 35% increase just might not hold true across all tests. So moving on to our set of Dx12 benchmarks. First up, we have Ashes of the Singularity. Let's see what happens when we pump this number up by an additional 35%. Basically, it looks like we're dealing with almost identical numbers to what the Titan is giving us. Our second Dx12 benchmark is Rise of the Tomb Raider, and we run this on the very high preset as normal. So we see the Titan X obviously with a nice advantage here, but once we add this 35%, wow, that's quite a boost, and once again surpasses what the Titan X is doing in this game. Moving on to our DX11 titles, we actually start off with one of my favorite benchmarks right now, which is the Division. The Division, I found, it is a very good representation of how your system is going to perform in most demanding AAA 4K titles. And we see right now, obviously, that the Titan really is kicking butt. Let's add 35% to that 1080 score and see what a projected 1080 Ti performance number would look like. So once again, we end up with a number that is honestly my expectation. This is where I would expect a Ti card to land versus a Titan. So maybe this is true, maybe not. Moving on. Doom is my favorite game of 2016 and is still the game that I play the most whenever I have a chance. I can tell you that when I replaced the 1080 in my system with a Titan X, I was kind of blown away with the performance increase that I saw. As you can see, there is quite a gap between the 1080 and the Titan. Let's see what a projected 1080 Ti score looks like. Still a massive gain, but not quite up to what the Titan is doing in this title. Let's move on to our next one. Gears of War 4 is a game that I admit I've never actually played, but the benchmark is taxing and it is repeatable and I like to use it. So let's switch it up, get that 35% on the 1080. Once again, we see a situation where the projected score for the 1080 Ti is slightly outpacing the Titan. I guess maybe it is a possibility. The Metro Last Light benchmark has been around since 2013, and it is still something that I and other reviewers lean on frequently. Adding 35% to our baseline gets us here, and we can see that once again we're in a situation where we're not quite up to Titan X performance. We seem to be kind of waffling back and forth, some benchmarks exceeding, some not, but all around the same general area as what the Titan X is giving us right now. Titanfall 2 is our last benchmark, and this is actually probably my second favorite game at this time. I really enjoy this game, I like playing it, and there's no built-in benchmark, so I kind of had to come up with my own benchmarking run, which I can pretty easily repeat. We see right here that obviously the Titan is doing pretty well for itself, but let's see how the 1080 Ti could potentially perform. And that's it, guys. This is another example of a very generous projection, I think. It's my opinion that 35% is a statement that was put out by Nvidia to generate a lot of extra excitement because that is a very nice number and something that we've never seen before. But that doesn't mean that that's going to apply in all tests, and it would surprise me greatly if the numbers that we were projecting out in this video held true through release. If they do, that would be pretty impressive. So what do you guys think the performance of the 1080 Ti is going to be? Is it going to be closer to the Titan X or the GTX 1080? Will Nvidia actually achieve 35% boost over 1080's performance? It remains to be seen. Let me know down below in the comments what your expectations are. Are you going to be purchasing one? Also, don't forget to hit that like button down there if you liked the video and get subscribed to the channel if you're not already. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.